Hey, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Bill Ikest. I am engaged and involved member of HFMA, and I am joined today by Sara Mendoza. Sara is a director with Vaco. Vaco is a technology, finance, and accounting staffing company. Sara is based in the Seattle area, and I met Sara recently at an HFMA leadership training conference in Phoenix. And we were doing a session on finding a balance between work and personal life. And Sara shared some things that she's doing as it relates to her use of Outlook. And I just thought it was wonderful. I mean, I've been in business for a lot of years, and I just really have never taken advantage of some of the tools that Outlook offers. And so I thought it might be fun and helpful for Sara to give a little demonstration on how she uses Outlook. And Sara, I've given a little background about yourself. Anything else that you want to add or share with folks about you and the work you do?
Sure. So like you mentioned, Vaco is talent solutions. Our two biggest divisions are technology and finance and accounting. So I oversee the finance and accounting arm of the Washington market and sit on the HFMA board for the Washington, Alaska chapter because by organic growth, I've just developed a book of business that is very focused in healthcare. And so that's been a big focus of mine over the past 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're across the US. I think it's one of the names that not a lot of people on the West Coast know quite as much, but we're in about 45 markets in the US.
And staffing's a hot topic right now. Folks are having trouble finding and keeping good help. And so I know you help them both with, some temporary fills, but also, bring some teams into the organization, I think, to help fill some of those staffing challenges that they're faced with.
Yep, it's definitely an interesting market. I've been in staffing for 13 years now, and we've never seen it quite this intense. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me, as it relates to maintaining a good work-life balance, do you feel like in general that you do a pretty good job?
I would say there's ebbs and flows. When I hire a group of people, I think my work-life balance decreases significantly. But I'm really big on making sure that my team has a good balance and isn't working too late into the hours, the evening hours. But yeah, I think I have a pretty good balance. I spend a fair amount of time on my boat, and I ski still, and I have good hobbies, and I have 2 kids, so that definitely forces you to have some sort of balance, I assume.
Absolutely. And kind of like with me, some of those things, particularly as it relates to family, are just non-negotiables, right? Those are things that I'm gonna definitely continue to focus and put my priorities on those things in hopes of at the end of the day, not missing those experiences that are so important to us. But I think it's hard for some. I've seen people over the years who I think just really get consumed with the work that they do. And they get stuck in this, I don't know if it's a rut so much, but it's just really hard for them to come up for air sometimes. And emails is one of those things. I know that I reach out to people a lot in the work that I do through email, and sometimes there's no response, and sometimes it's a very slow response. I joked with somebody recently and said I start to send out my holiday wishes around October because I know that I can feel sure that people will at least read it by the time Thanksgiving and Christmas rolls around.
Right. Yeah, email it's a tough one. I think you can always reach out more, you can always call more candidates, you can always email more candidates, and so that's definitely one where it just seems like it's on your phone, and it's one of those things you can just pick up and do it really quick. But doing that really quickly 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times a night can really take away from time.
It really can. So talk about your approach to emails in general and how important it is for you to stay organized, and then we'll get into how people can use Outlook to help them manage their work.
So I think for everyone it's different because everyone has competing priorities within Outlook. So for me, it's about identifying what's the area of concern. So is it I'm not seeing the emails that I need to see, or I'm seeing too much of the stuff that's important but not important right now, and just identifying what's the pain point within Outlook before you decide what to do with Outlook, because there's a lot of different methodologies around how do you utilize Outlook in a way that's efficient. But before you do that, you're usually already too far into it and it's already overwhelming. And so at that point, it's not about picking a methodology that works well. It's about what's your pain point and how do we start small and figure that out first. And so for me, I love to know what's happening in my market. I love reading the Puget Sound Business Journal. I love the Geek Wired newsletters that I get, the HFMA newsletters that I get, but they can be very time consuming to move into a folder every time that they come in. And so, but the biggest fear beyond that is if I set in a rule in Outlook that moves these things into this folder, I'll never think about them again. And so for me, it's about coordinating my email in Outlook with my calendar in Outlook so that I'm blocking time to make sure that on a weekly or a bi-weekly basis, that those folders that I set with those rules and emails are going into, that I'm taking time to block out an opportunity to look at those emails.
Right.
Right. So you're not, it's not just there for whenever you get a chance to, it's something that you strategically do or intentionally do rather. And so that for me was the biggest thing, was if I put something in a folder, it's gone and I'll never see it. And if it's not in my sight, it's out of my mind and I'll never remember it again.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, I'm thinking about folks that manage people, for example, too. A lot of the emails they get are not emails that they're expected to follow up on or respond to. They're just being copied on those emails because they want to be, in the loop on things that are going on. So that can be challenging. And so I'm sure I mentioned before, I haven't begun to use Outlook and the tools available to it. I sort of compare it to back when we used VCRs way back when, before we were streaming. A lot of people joked and said that their VCR was flashing 12 o'clock, all the time. And it was just like, well, you knew how to hit record and play and rewind and forward, but nobody knew any of the other features that maybe their VCR offered that would help their experience.
Right.
So, yeah.
And I will preface all of this by saying I am by no means an expert. I've used LinkedIn Learning and YouTube to find little tips and tricks that make it easier for me. I'm certain there are far more complicated or complex ways to utilize Outlook, but these are just a couple of things that have really changed how I can look at my email and see things from a different perspective and make it functional for me. So I could definitely take some training, but I'd love to share with you just a few different tips and tricks that I've discovered over the years.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead?
Okay, perfect. So I think, like I mentioned before, it's really about identifying the pain point, like what is taking your time within Outlook and how do you manage that? So for me, the biggest thing is all of the folders that I have off to the left. I have folders for just about everything. And some of these folders are fluid. Like I may not need them down the road, but I need them for right now for a specific project. I was doing a survey with my team, job satisfaction survey. I wanted to record the results as I receive them and make them be in a specific place. So I created this folder here. Once we discover those results as a team, I'll delete this folder and it's gone. So some of it's fluid and then some of it will stay forever. So for example, I have a folder that's for anyone on my team that reports to me, that information, I put it in there. After I've reviewed the email, it goes into that folder. And that's really helped me a lot because there's things I need to go back to regularly. And if I don't have a specific place for it to go, then I won't know how to find it. And search is great in Outlook, but it's only as good as what you're putting into it.
So it's just a drag and drop into each of those people's folders.
Yep. The one that I referenced a moment ago where I said I really like market information. I love to get updated info on what's happening in my region, but so much of it that it's really hard for me to keep up with. So this is a market info folder that I have, and I have a rule set up, and it's really easy to set up a rule. Let's do Puget Sound Business Journal because they send it from a couple of different places. Okay, so you can see when I'm looking here, it's showing that it's in the folder.
Mm-hmm.
So I can go into here and type in rule, and I can create a rule. And what I'm going to do is create a rule where anything that comes from the Puget Sound Business Journal immediately goes into my market info folder. So I would click the first box that says from Puget Sound Business Journal, and then I would click the last box that says do the following. So the first is when I get an email from something or someone that says something, you select that. And then what do I do with it? Well, what I do is I send it to a folder. And so my folder is market info, but you can select any folder in your inbox here.
Okay.
Right. So once I hit market info, then I select OK. And it will ask me, do I want to run this on messages that are already in my current inbox? And so I can hit OK, and then it will pull everything from within my inbox over to that folder. So it immediately moves it over.
Okay. I didn't see where you put your cursor initially to create that rule. The cursor kind of stayed in place. Where did you go to create that rule?
Because it doesn't show you. So let me pull this down. Once it does this, we'll cancel so you guys don't have to sit through this. But because of the screen sharing, it wasn't allowing me to show you. So if you just go up to search and you type in rule,
okay,
you can create the rule there. Right?
Got it.
So the next thing for me that gives me anxiety is if I have a rule set up that pulls something immediately from my inbox into a folder, I'm never going to be notified that that thing happened. I'll never know that Puget Sound Business Journal sent me an email this morning. So what do I do about that? And what I always do is I calendar time to look at that folder. So if it's something that I don't want to forget about, it's on my calendar as well.
And you decide on the frequency just based on the folder, I guess, right? How urgent, you know, you need to look at it. Yeah.
And it could be weekly, bi-weekly. Some people, I mean, for some people, they may use a rule and manage their calendar in a way where they need to do it daily. For me, it's weekly, sometimes bi-weekly. So that's the first thing that I do. The other thing that I really love, and I discovered this last year by mistake, where being in a leadership role, you're getting emails that are from your team and you don't want them to slip through the cracks, and you need those emails to stand out, right? Because those are the important ones. It's great to get emails from people throughout the company, but what do I do about all of these emails here? And how do I make sure that the emails that are coming from people that are close stand out? So you can see here that Lindsay's email is set up differently. So you can see that her color is different. And so I set it up so that anyone that's in my Seattle office has a different setting. And so the way that you would do that is, let's see here, you go to view and go to view settings and then conditional formatting. So when I do conditional formatting, I can change the font to whatever I want it to be.
Okay.
Color, all of that, right? And then it should change. Well, it usually will change. Hold on, let's see here. So if I go to Lindsay's, I can set up the rule for Lindsay specifically. Let's do that. Okay, there we go. That's what it's supposed to do.
Got it.
You can see that all of the emails from Lindsay are in a different font. They're different color, and they're bold. And so Lindsay's my counterpart. She oversees open source and technology.
Okay, so the boldness really just kind of, in your mind, signifies more urgent, more importance.
Exactly.
As far as day-to-day business.
Exactly. So that's the one that for me has been a big issue or big game changer, just to be able to access people's emails pretty quickly that I know I need to see at some point. The other thing that I've really enjoyed is quick parts. So I don't know if you do this, but I find that I'm sending the same email over and over to people. And it would just be really helpful to have a quick part, just something that is basically a copy and paste that's in my back pocket. Sure. And so I have those set up where I can insert them into different emails. What I love about quick parts is that you can layer them on top of each other. So it's like building blocks. So it's, think about like Legos, right? So if you have one, you can add another and another, and it doesn't have, it's not a signature where it's a catch-all. It really is, you can add a few different things into it. So building blocks. So I go to insert, I go to quick parts. We'll be almost done here. Quick parts. And then I have a variety of different quick parts that I use on a regular basis that I can send over. So for example, I have a candidate of the week that I use in my quick parts. So for tax accountant, and I will send messages to my clients after leaving them a voicemail and say, hey, I have this tax accountant that's available. I want their little profile to be available to me pretty quickly so that I can send that to them. And it just adds it in. Now, if I had another quick part that I wanted to layer on top of that, I could. Like I could say, I called about your ad. And by the way, here's this candidate that fits the ad that you that you posted. And it kind of adds on top of each other. So the way that you create a quick part is really easier. So you type out whatever it is that you're consistently using and that you would like to make it easier to just copy and paste. You right click it and, oh, sorry, you don't right click it. You hit insert. So it's highlighted, you hit insert, you go to quick parts, you save selection to quick part gallery. And this opens up the window where you can name it. So I might say left a message. And then I just hit save or okay. And I'm just going to send this to myself so that I can show you how it works. So I open an email. I'm sending this email to Bill and I want it to be easy to add in. So I go to insert, quick parts, and you'll see that it should be added here under left message, and it's usually alphabetical. So, yep. So there's the quick part I just created.
Okay.
That's
so you can go back and retrieve that anytime that you need it for a subsequent email.
Exactly. So you can continue to add quick parts pretty easily. You can add more and more. Like I said, you can layer them on top of each other so that you're able to use multiple. The other thing that's great about quick parts is another option, which is called auto text. So it looks like this. So I typed in the word or part of the word contract, and you can see that there's this automatically populated option. If I hit enter, it then does the whole thing for me. So let's say that I send a lot of contract requests, right? And I don't want to have to continuously retype the contract request. So I can create an auto text and I name it. And then what that does is it allows me to enter it pretty quickly. So I would go to insert, do just like you would do with the quick part, but go to auto text, or sorry, save selection to the gallery. And when you get here and it says gallery here, rather than do quick parts, you do auto text. And then you name it. And what you name it is what you would type into your email, and that would generate the template. So whatever that is. So okay. Name it, right? So then when I go back and I go to new email, and I'm sending this email to myself. Okay, can you see it now?
Yep.
Okay. Did you see what led up to that?
I didn't see all of it, but I was following along with you.
Okay, so if there's text that you're using frequently and you want to be able to send it really quickly without having to go into insert and then quick parts, you can create what's called an auto text. And so that looks like this. So I just typed in name, and you can see that it says if I hit enter, then it auto populates this bit of data that I will send regularly to my admin. So the way that you create this is you type up what you would normally send, and then you highlight it, and then you go into the insert tab, and where you created the quick part, you would go to the similar area, save selection to quick part gallery. And rather than saving it to the quick part gallery, you would change that second tab to auto text. And whatever you name it is what it will show up as. So if I name this contract, or well, I already used that. Let's just say Danelle, because that's my admin. I know I send this to her frequently. So I want to make sure that it comes to her. So contract. So when I go to open up a new email and I go in here to type, I can type in Danelle. And you can see right here that it auto-populates that there if I hit enter. Are you seeing that?
Yep.
Okay. In addition to this, you can layer on top of this quick parts as well, but auto text is something that if you know you send it pretty regularly and you give it a name that's unique enough that it won't show up all of the time when you're typing emails, you can hit enter and it just shows up.
Okay.
And then the last thing, and this for me is kind of, honestly, I feel like those 3 things are really great. So the quick parts in the auto text, changing the color and the font and size of emails, and then creating folders with rules while calendaring for those events are really helpful.
Remind people how you can schedule something for follow-up. So you get an email today and you need to come back and follow up on that email in a week or whatever.
Okay, so I think there's a couple of ways to do this, but for me, I always tag it for follow-up. In the email.
Yeah, and pretty easy process. I just wanted to remind folks, a lot of people probably may already use this stuff, right?
The important thing to remember about doing that is if you just tag it for a follow-up, you want a reminder, then you're probably going to want to set the reminder, like an alert on a specific day. So if you have a report due and you know it needs to get sent out in a week, the follow-up might be next week or a custom date, but you might also want a reminder like the day before. Like I should have set a reminder the day before our meeting to practice my stuff and how I had set it up 1.5 years ago. So making sure that you set those reminders as well. Yep. Okay.
Yeah, that's, gosh, some good information. I mean, again, I can see where it would take somebody a little bit to really get proficient with it, but this is a great start on, making progress. Maybe there'll be some comments and stuff when we ultimately post this where folks will, want to ask some additional questions. But I think as much as anything, we can push them towards some resources that will help them really better use the tool.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me has always been going to YouTube. If your company doesn't offer LinkedIn Learning, we're lucky enough that we have that. So I use LinkedIn Learning all of the time. But YouTube is such a great tool for anything that you're trying to just have a general understanding of. I send candidates to YouTube for Excel training or I forgot how to do pivot tables. Okay.
Yeah, I do it for projects around the house of whether or not I want to take them on or not. Right.
Yeah, totally. Yep, exactly. So, I mean, I learned how to change my oil on a YouTube video.
There you go.
So I'm big on there's a lot of resources out there. I'm a novice at Outlook, but those little tricks have really helped me just to not let my calendar stress me out.
Yeah, you can't. You're right. You'll get lost in it, I think. Most definitely.
How many emails I have, and it's like, I mean, I get like 100 a day sometimes.
So Sarah, this has been a lot of really good information, and we're not going to give everybody all the information that they need to make this work necessarily. But like you said, you just sort of took interest in it. There were a lot of online resources that were available to you. You went through LinkedIn Learning and did some Googling and some YouTube stuff. So I hope that folks will do that. But we'll put this together, and I'm sure we'll get some feedback and some comments and whatnot. I'll certainly share that with you. And but I just really appreciate the time, and I wish you all the best. It's been nice to talk with you, and I hope that you have a great summer, and I know you look forward to getting back out on that boat.
Yes, definitely. Thank you again. I appreciate it. I hope this is helpful for someone out there.
Hey, I think so. It's already been helpful for me, I know. So
good. Okay, well then mission accomplished.
I'm going to try to put some of this stuff into play, and hopefully feel a little more organized when it comes to my emails.
Perfect. Okay, well, good luck. Let me know how it goes.
I sure will. You take care.
Okay, thanks. You too.